So let me get Gimel. Gimel Keilim.
Okay.
Above them, right? Above them,
Wait. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Fine. Carry on.
of them, one who cohabitates with Anita in that he transmits to the tumor to a bed that is beneath him, like that which is above. Above them is the discharge of a zav, his spittle, his semen, his urine, and the menstrual blood of Anita, in that they transmit tumor via contact and by being carried. Above them is a markev, that in that it transmits tumor from beneath a placed rock, and above the markev is a mishkav, for its contact is equal to that being carried. Above the mishkav is a zav, and that a zav creates a mishkav, where a mishkav does not create a mishkav. Okay, go out. Okay, okay. Dalit. Above the zav is a zav, in that she transmits tumor to any man who cohabitates with her. Above the zava is a Matzorah, in that he transmits tumor via entry into a covered area. Above the Matzorah is a bone the size of a polygon, and that it transmits a tumor of 7 days. More stringent than all of them is a corpse, in that it transmits tumor via an ohel, a means to which all the others do not transmit tumor. Hey, the 10 levels of tumor emanate from a person. Kusa Kaporim is forbidden with regard to Kodesh, but he's permitted with regard to Truma and Maisa. If he subsequently became a Telah Yom, he's forbidden with regard to Kodesh and Truma, but is permitted with regard to Maisa. If he subsequently became a Baal Keri, he is forbidden with regard to 3 of them. If he subsequently became a ball kneader, he transmits tumor to a bed which is beneath him and that which is above. If he subsequently becomes a Azav, who has experienced 2 discharges, he transmits tumor to a miskav and a moshav, and he requires immersion in a spring water, but is exempt from an offering. But if he experienced 3 discharges, he is obligated to bring an offering. He subsequently became a confined Mitzorah. He transmits tumor via entry into a covered area, but he is exempt from letting his hair grow wild, from rending his garments, from shaving, and from the birds. But if he was a confined Mitzorah, he is obligated in all of these. If a limb was severed from him that does not transmit sufficient flesh on it, it transmits tumor via contact, it being carried. But it does not transmit tumor via ohel. If he does have suffered sufficient flesh on it, he transmits tumor via contact, being carried, and via ohel. The amount of flesh deemed sufficient is enough to affect healing. And Rabbi Yehuda says if it is in one place, there is enough flesh to surround it. With the width of a width thread is enough to affect healing.
Okay. Now let's do the ones from yesterday.
Okay, that was wasn't that yesterday?
That was from a week ago. So let's go to Gimel Zion. I didn't stop you because we needed to do it anyway.
Okay. A boiler with one coated with mortar or potters clay, that which touches the mortar is tamei. That which touches the potters clay is tahor. A kettle that developed a hole in and one repaired it with pitch. Yoshi rules it tahor because it cannot hold liquids as it does cold liquids, and that is how he used to rule concerning utensils of pitch. Copper utensils coated with pitch are tahor, and if it meant for wine, they are tamei. A barrel that has developed a hole and one repaired it with more pitch than necessary, that which touches the necessary pitch is tamei, and that which touches the unnecessary pitch is tahor. Pitch that dripped onto a barrel, that which touches it is tahor. A wooden or earthenware funnel that was plugged with water,
With pitch, that was plugged with pitch.
Oh, a wooden or earthenware funnel that was plugged with pitch. If Elazar ben Azariah rules them tamei, Rabbi Akiva rules them wooden funnel tamei, and that but rules the earthenware funnel tahor, and both Rabbi Yossi rules both of them tahor. Okay, Dalit. An earthenware fragment that cannot stand because of its handle or as a protrusion or the protrusion tilts it is tahor. And if the handle was removed or the protrusion broke off, it is still hot tahor, but Rabbi Yehuda rules them tamei. A barrel whose bottom fell out but is able to contain on its walls, or a split that became like a 2 troves. Troves, if Rabbi Yehuda rules it tahor, but the sages rule it tamei.
Okay. New stuff. Chavis. So your barrel, again, thinking amphora. Shenis roa ve'ena yechola litaltel b'chatzi kav grogeros. Okay, so here we mentioned this in passing in a previous Mishnah, that if you have a kli that's still holding together, but it's become weak, and it cannot carry the weight of half a kav of dried figs, that means that it's unfit for purpose, and therefore it is tahor. We said this is that gray area where it's still called a kli, but it's tahor, which means that if you had to repair it with pitch and not, you don't have to put it back into the kiln in order for it to become tameh again. Okay, as opposed to something that broke and was now reconstituted using pitch, that remains tahor. This one, however, is before any pitch is put onto it. This is the measure of a kli that is no longer usable for its function, and therefore it is tahor.
Okay.
Okay, gistra. So that's the shard. And remember, whenever we say gistra, a gistra is something that broke off a finished kli and is still usable. So a gistra can still be tameh. Okay, but the gistra itself now became fractured. Okay, gistra sinisra, but eina mekabeles mashkin, and it starts to drip liquids. Okay, now we said that for a regular kli, if it's a full kli and it starts to drip, that doesn't mean that it's tameh. It could still be used for solids, remember. But this one over here is now starting to leak. It's already a fragment. Afal pishi mekabeles ochlin, even though you could still serve solids on it. Torah. This is called tahor. She'ein shirayin l'shirayin. We don't. It's already a fragment. And now it's starting to leak liquids. Like, who honestly is going to use this? That it's too far removed.
Right. Okay.
That's the thing, and there are lots of things in the commentary about, like, people don't say, look, give me a fragment of that fragment or whatever. It's just, people have draw a line. So now we finally get into it's the definition of gistra. The Mishna does this in a lot of places, where it'll speak, for about 3 prakim about a certain subject, and then finally it'll get into the definition of what is it that we're actually talking about. So here's another case in point over here. Ezohi gistra kol nitlu osneha. So even if you have a complete kli, and you so much as break off its handles, that's called the gistra from this point. Okay, which means it's a kula. That means that, as we saw in the previous Mishnah, this kli, before you broke off its handles, if it developed a little leak, you say, okay, no, it can still carry solids and it's still tameh. But if its handles broke off and now it starts to leak, you say it's a gistra, it's tahor. Okay. So that's the difference that we're saying over here. Okay, so as a gistra, even if it's lost its handles. So now you see the little jutting points out, as you can see in the diagram on opposite below here, barrel with protrusions. Okay. So anything that could contain the size of an olive, it transmits tumah by touching. So let's say that it had become tameh and something enters its airspace. Okay, so as long as it's still able to hold, remember, solid Keilim are measured by solids with the size of an olive.
Right.
Okay. So anything that any of these protrusions that could hold an olive on it, that is matame in its airspace even.
Any of these broken pieces that can hold an olive on it?
Yeah. If the protrusion itself, if you could put an olive on the protrusion, then it's still considered part of the kli, and it's matame even in its airspace. And if it cannot hold olives in its on the protrusion, then it's matame b'maga. Then yes, it's still matame by touch. The ein kenegdo matame ba'avir, but it's not by airspace. So actually, there's a discussion here in the article commentary, like how on earth can you tell what's the airspace when you've got things going up and things going down, and there's a little picture on the side here showing how you would measure that airspace using a stick. So you take a straight stick and you say, okay, between this and the opposite side, that's the airspace. Okay, and so if you put it inside here and up to there, then the airspace is whatever is beneath the stick. Okay, so that's just as an aside how you'd measure the airspace. Okay, now what happens if your gistra is lying on its side, like you'll see on the picture on the next page? So it's lying on its side, coming cathedra. A cathedra is like a bridal chair. Actually, we see that in other places where we're talking about if a cathedra's got 3 planks and it's missing one of the planks, is it still tameh? We'll see that later on. So it's sitting there as if it's a chair. I don't know why. To me, I honestly see it. But okay, that looks like a cathedra. Fine.
No one's gonna sit on that.
Yeah. Okay. Call him a kabel ima bezeisim. Anything that that can hold as a kazayas on it, matami b'maga, or connect to a matami ba'avir. So once again, that's talking. We use the criterion of the olive size. Can it would it hold an olive over there? If it does, then it also is matami in its airspace.
So from one side, from the right side to the left side is protrusions. So if one of those little protrusions can hold an olive,
yeah,
right, then the space in between, that's the airspace in between the two pieces that are jutting up, correct?
You're saying on the rim, if you like, are you saying in the rim itself? No, we're talking about in the interior, not between two edges on the rim. That's not considered the airspace. The airspace is what's inside the kli.
No, I meant from like if you have a protrusion like this, right? The two, one here, and you have an olive on this side, then underneath it should be the airspace, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, connect Okay, so that's just saying out what we just said, that it's oh, and also protrusions. Yes, sorry, it also mentions over here protrusions, not just not just so we see on the left page over here, there's a barrel that's actually designed with protrusions sticking out. So those protrusions themselves also could possibly be matami ba'avir if they are big enough to hold an olive.
Oh, okay.
So that's just another point to consider.
Do we have a shear on the olive itself? What size that olive has to be?
Oh no. Okay, so right. So getting into the discussion of the kazayas, I mean that's a hugely contentious thing about like how big is the kazayas nowadays. In the time of the Mishnah, they knew how big an olive was.
Right.
Okay. And honestly, if you're going to follow the sort of rationalist view of olives haven't changed. They're the same size now as they ever were, and you can see in the I don't even want to call it a fossil record because they're not old enough to be called fossils, but you can see in archaeological digs when they find an olive press, and you'll find olive pits in the olive press, and they're the same size as the olive pits that we have today. It's not like anything's changed, bigger or smaller.
Okay.
Okay, so your average olive, I mean, even today you get bigger olives and you get smaller olives. Right. And we have a Mishnah. Okay, I'll be lying to you if I tell you which Masechta it's in. But we've definitely done a Mishnah that talks about, when we're talking about the size of an olive, we're talking about a Beinoni. Beinoni olive, yeah. Okay. Shule Kurfios, Shule Kosim Hatzidanios. Okay, so these particular Keilim have a distinction that we'll see in the Mishnah. They are made not to be able to rest properly on the ground. Their usage is that they're either held in the hand or put onto a some sort of support, in much the same way as we had with the lapid. With the torch that's got that long handle. It won't stand by itself, but it's meant to be put into a bracket. Okay, so even though they don't stand without themselves, they're makabel tumas. This is how they're originally made. They're meant to contain things, and they're put into, and this is it follows the same sort of rule. Okay, kli cheres. Okay, so an earthenware utensil that has 3 rims. So we can see our picture on the page over here. Right. It's got 3 rims, and now we want to know which part of this becomes tameh, which is tahor. If the inner one is higher, okay, tahor. So everything on the outside is tahor. If you put things into those the airspace around those, then the rest of the kli does not become tameh, because that's not the ikar container. Although we would think that this might have a din of achorayim, something that's meant to be. It depends if it's decorative or if it's actually meant to hold things. But with the din of Acharayim, if you have the secondary container that's like outside, then it itself can become Tameh without being the Tameh the rest of the Kli, which is more important than it.
We had a similar thing, I think, in Beit Zion, with the pans and the rings.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. Okay. So if the inner rim is higher, then everything else remains tahor, but if the outer one is higher, I call tameh, because the outer rim creates an airspace around everything else. So if a dead sheretz goes into that airspace, then everything inside the kli becomes tameh. Okay, ha'im tzais odefes, what happens if the middle one is the highest? Mimena v'lifnim tameh, then from it and inside is tameh, but outside is tahor. Okay, Shavos, what if they're all on the same level? Rabbi Yehuda has an incredible way of learning this one out. He says, Cholkin ha'em tzais, you take the middle one and divide it in half. Now you see on the left page, there's that diagram there of the Tameh area according to Rabbi Yehuda.
Right.
And it's quite a remarkable thing, because there's no actual physical division between the area that he calls susceptible to tumah and that isn't. And the commentary has like kind of at a loss to explain how he comes to that. So the divide, he puts the dividing line like right down the middle, and the Chachamim say no, everything is tower. That's only the middle piece is the main kli. The rest of it is it's as if the middle one is the highest. Okay, kli cheres. So from what point is the kli cheres susceptible to tumah? Only after they've been fired in the kiln. We learned that before, Agav, but here we're seeing it explicitly in the Mishnah. And that is the finishing point of their malacha. So as we generally see with Keilim, they're only susceptible to tumah once their manufacture is complete, not while they're still in process. And that's it for Keilim today. Okay. Yeah.
Leave soon, right?
Let's go.
Okay. We have both bet. A householder sent consecrated money with a deaf, mute, a deranged person, or a minor. If they carried out his assignment, the whole household has committed me'ilah. If they did not carry out his assignment, the storekeeper has committed me'ilah. If the householder sent the money with a competent person and remembered that the money was consecrated before the agent reached the storekeeper will have committed me'ilah when he spends the money. What should he do? He should take a pruta or a utensil and says, the consecrated pruta, wherever it is the consecrated unto this. Since consecrated items can be redeemed with money or with items that are not worth money. If a householder gave the agent a pruta and said to him, bring me lambs with half of the pruta and wicks with half of the pruta, and the agent went and brought the lambs and the entire pruta, or wicks with the entire pruta, or if the householder said to the agent, bring me lambs with either with the entire pruta or bring me wicks with the entire pruta, and the agent went and brought lambs with half of it and half wicks with half of it, neither of them is committed me'ilah. However, if the householder said to the agent, bring me lambs with half of the pruta from such and such a place, and wicks with half of the pruta from such and such a place, and the agent went and brought him lambs from the house of wicks, and wicks from the house of lambs, the agent has committed me'ilah. Dalit, if the householder gave the agent 2 prutas and said to him, bring me an esrog, and the agent went and brought him an esrog with 1 pruta, and a pomegranate with 1 pruta, both of them have committed me'ilah. Rabbi Yehuda says the household has not committed me'ilah, for he can say to the agent, I would have wanted a superior esrog, and you brought me a small inferior one. Okay. If the householder gave the agent a gold dinner,
carry on.
Dinner and said to him, bring me a shirt, and the agent went and brought him a shirt with 3 of the Salem and a cloak with 3 of the Salem. Both of them have committed me'ilah. Rabbi Yehuda says the householder has not committed me'ilah, but he can say to the agent, I would have wanted a superior shirt, and you brought me a small inferior one.
Okay.
Where are we going after this? Because we will finish this tomorrow.
We're finishing. Okay. After me'ilah, we go into Tamid.
Okay, cool. Vav Gimel. If a deaf, mute, mentions a deranged person or a minor slaughtered with others observing them, one is required to cover the blood by themselves and is exempt from covering the blood. Likewise, in the matter of it and its offspring, if they slaughter with others observing them, it is forbidden to slaughter after them by themselves. Rabbi Meir permits slaughtering after them, but the comment prohibit it. If they agree, however, that if one slaughtered, he does not incur 40 lashes. If one slaughtered 100 beasts in one place, one covering suffices for them all. 100 fowl in one place, one covering suffices for them all. And a beast and a fowl in one place, one covering suffices for them all. The Yehuda says if he slaughtered a beast, he must cover its blood and afterwards slaughter the fowl. If he slaughtered and did not cover the blood and someone else saw it, he is required to cover it. If he covered it and it became uncovered, he is exempt from covering it. If the wind covered it, he's required to cover it. The blood, if blood mixed with water, if it has a color of blood, it's required to cover it. If it's mixed with water, he viewed it as if it were water. If it mixed with blood of an animal or with the blood of a beast, if we view it as if it were water, but Yehuda says blood cannot nullify blood.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, and we are to Baba Basra. Okay, Gimel's on. A man might not open his windows onto a jointly owned courtyard. If he buys a house in another courtyard, he might not open it into a jointly owned courtyard. If he builds an attic above his house, he might not open it into a jointly owned courtyard. But however, if he wishes, he may build a room within his house or build an attic above his house and open it into his house. One may dig a hole under the public domain. I think I went too far. Did I do that right? Yeah, I did. I skipped the page. A man may not open into a jointly owned courtyard, a doorway opposite another doorway, or a window opposite another window. If it was small, he may not enlarge it. If it was one, he may not make it two. However, he may open onto the public domain a doorway opposite another doorway and a window opposite another window. If it was small, he may enlarge it. If it was one, he may make it two. One may not dig a hole into the public domain, pits, ditches, or vaults. So that permits it if it is strong enough for a wagon loaded with stones to ride over it. One may not extend protrusions or ledges onto the public domain. However, if he wishes, he may recess his wall inside his own property and expand them. If he bought a courtyard in which there were protrusions or ledges, they retain their status. Okay. Right? That's it, I think.
One more.
One who sells a house has not sold the annex, even if he opens into it, nor the room which is rear to the house, nor the roof which has parapet, 10 tefachim high. If Rebbe Huda says if it has a doorway, even if it is not 10 tefachim high, it is not included in the sale. Okay. Okay. Gimel. A knife which was found on the 14th of Nisan may be used immediately for slaughter, but if it was found on the 13th of Nisan, he may immerse it again. He must immerse it again. And a meat cleaver, whether found on the 13th or on the 14th, he must immerse again. Unless the 14th falls on the Sabbath, in which case he may slaughter it with immediately. But if it's found on the 15th of Nisan, he may slaughter it with immediately. But if it was found tied to a knife, then it is considered as the knife. If a curtain has been contaminated through contact with a secondary tumor, they immerse it within the temple complex, and it may bring it immediately. But if it was contaminated through contact with a primary tumor, they immerse it outside the temple complex, and they may spread it out to dry the kale. If it was a new curtain, they would spread it out upon the roof of the portico so that people may see the Al-Hekmah, for it was beautiful. Reb Shimon Gamliel says in the name of Reb Shimon, son of Deputy Kohen Gadol, the curtain was one handbreadth thick, woven upon 70 threads. Each thread composed of 24 filaments, 4 cubits long and 20 cubits wide, and made of 82 times 10,000. They would make 2 new curtains every year, and 300 Kohanim would immerse in it.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
And yep.
What are we going to do after
Yoma?
So we have Keilim and Yoma. No, Keilim. No, you didn't say Keilim. What did you say? You said last week.
I
forgot.
We got after Shekalim is Yoma, and then Tamid after Meila.
Tamid and
yeah. Okay, it's full Yom. Let's go base.
Concerning a pot that is full of liquids was took by itself. Yom, if the liquid was truma, the liquid is disqualified, but the pot is tahor. If it was a liquid of coolant, everything is tahor, but his hands were unclean, everything is tameh. This is a stringency that applies to unclean hands over Tevel Yom. There is also a stringency that applies to Tevel Yom over unclean hands. While uncertainty concerning Tevel Yom renders truma puzzle, and uncertainty concerning unclean hands is considered tahor. Concerning a porridge made of truma, and the garlic and the oil are coolant, a Tevel Yom touch part of them and is rendered all of them puzzle. If the porridge was of coolant and the garlic and the oil were of truma and the Tevel Yom parts of them, it is rendered puzzle only in place of his touch. If the garlic was the majority, we follow the majority. Yehuda says when they form a mass in the bowl, but if we're separated, the mortar is tahor since he wants a separation. And the same applies to all pounded foods if they were pounded with beverages, but concerning those foods that are normally pounded with beverages, if he pounded them without beverages, even if they are a mass in the bowl, they're not treated like a round cake of pressed figs. If a porridge and a flat cake made of coolant If a portrait of flat cake were made of coolant and oil of truma flowing on top of them, and trouble Yom touched the oil, he rendered it possible only the oil, but he trusted and he stirred it wherever the oil flowed is considered possible. Regarding
Okay, that's it. That's it.
we have
Okay.
I already forgot what we said. New one.
Okay. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Have a great Shabbos. Enjoy.
Okay.